Literary theory refers to a particular form of literary criticism in which academic, scientific, or philosophical approaches are followed in a systematic fashion while analyzing literary texts. Think of it as a lens, having a perspective on texts following a theme. An example of a lens is Marxism. Marxism comes from the famous sociologist Karl Marx, who created this ideology. Prior to his birth, his family was Jewish, but due to a reform happening in Prussia, his family was forced to become Protestant. His family felt firsthand the pressure from government powers, making it no wonder why he would seek political change. Marx was also pretty rebellious while going to the University of Bonn, evidently breaking the norms from the beginning. Marxism was derived from his main field of research known as the conflict theory, a battle of social class. He believed that the rich suppressed the poor, and thus he created Marxism, a way of life that would abolish this capitalist lifestyle he believed to be wrong. Karl Marx was known as the father of communism because Marxism is its foundation. Marxism is the belief that a society would function better in a working class self-emancipation, promoting freedom and equality within economics. In simpler terms, everyone would make the same amount of money and have access to equal resources. Of course, there have been many examples in history where communism has come out to be corrupt and not following the Marxism way, but there are still many believers that one day it will work. Marxism can be a very controversial topic, but in literature it can be a very useful lens to analyze text. It looks at the power structure and conflicts of characters as they try to maintain a normal social order. It enables us to look through a lens focused on economics and hierarchy, asking the question, what happens in this text because of power, class, and money? An example of analyzing text through this Marxist lens could be Hamlet, or to make it more simple, The Lion King. The main conflict that arises from the story involves social class. Scar kills his own brother just to become king. It is human nature to want to move up in the hierarchy. We all deep down wish we were rich and famous, or maybe had aspirations to be president one day. This is used in literature in a much more dramatic way, showing how this human nature can cause us to do drastic things, such as killing your own brother. This human nature is so common and relevant that you can find Marxism in almost any story. Name any movie or book. Come on, do it.
The Hunger Games?
Yes, another more complex example of Marxism in media is The Hunger Games. It takes place in a dystopian society where you are trapped in the district you are born into and ruled by a rich capital known as Pan Am. Karl Marx said himself in his famous work, The Communist Manifesto, that political power, properly so called, is merely the organized power of one class for oppressing another. The conflict of the film is Katniss must fight to overthrow this hierarchy as they are forced to give them all of their resources. Katniss finds this to be unfair and seeks for equality, mirroring what Marxism also strives to achieve. The Hunger Games also has a very prominent undertone of feminism, a literary theory very similar to Marxism, in that they both strive to abolish inequality, one in gender and one in power and class. Marx also had influenced many feminist theorists, such as Dorothy Smith, inspiring her to seek out equality in something that she dealt with every day as a woman. But back to Marxism. The point is, we live in a capitalist society where, unfortunately, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Or at least this is what was theorized by Marx. Of course, it is not as drastic as in the Hunger Games, but there is still room for improvement. Marxism made an attempt to abolish this ideology, but it of course went south when tried, as it was infested with corruption and an inevitable dictator. Marxism is still a very important lens to have when not only analyzing literature, but our world. Although this theory isn't perfect, it enables us to realize that there are other directions and options, and we should not settle for this capitalist society, where human nature takes over and everyone is fighting to be the richest in the world. It is important to use Marxism as an example of how we can move forward, and conflict does not have to arise out of social class. Another quote from Marx's The Communist Manifesto is, "The communists everywhere support every revolutionary movement against the existing social and political order of things." Even though their ways may have seemed extreme, this ideology was true in one way, that they believed they must change.